Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Welcome to MST.TV, and for this video, this is something you guys asked me for, which is Evil Twins. How do I play it in the most competitive way possible? Now, there was a couple of different ways you can play this. You can play this Unchained, which is a completely different deck. Also, very fun. I'm a big fan of it. Unfortunately, it's more prone to get hit by hand traps and the stuff that's currently in the meta, so I didn't go that route for the most competitive variant yet. That really depends on how the meta is going to develop after the ban list comes out. But for now, I'm going to be playing a control variant of Dogmatika with Eldlich. You can play pure Dogmatika with Evil Twins, but the thing is, your ceiling isn't that high and the boards are easily breakable. It's very consistent, like easily one of the most consistent deck I've played so far. But then again, consistency doesn't really mean very much if you don't have very much impact. And with that being said, that's why I chose to add the additional engine of Eldlich, just to make the game state even more complicated, with a little bit of a sacrifice that you're not playing Pot of Desires anymore, and also no Pot of Avarice. But hopefully we can grind your opponent to a halt with the engines I have put together. And part of the engines also synergize because you can use a lot of the Eldlich stuff to pay costs, and you actually kind of want to throw some of the cards into the graveyard just so you can search a Sanguine out. So that's the engine I decided to go with. And for this video, I'm going to start off by showing you how the cards are played first before I go into the deck profile. So if you want to skip ahead just to see the deck profile, by all means, but I'm not going to be explaining as much, which is why I'm going to go with the profile stuff afterwards, so that it makes more sense so I can show everything first. And if you guys are enjoying this style of video, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding the notification bell. So the first thing I'm going to teach you guys is how to kill your opponent through 1 or 3 monsters. It's 1 or 3 because there's no real 2. If they have 2, that means the 3 would obviously kill it. But yeah, that's how it is. Because if you open with Ecclesia and not Servant, you don't get the extra pop. That's the main difference here. So starting off with Evil Twin Lila. Now, I'll show you how to open the proper control board to get an extra draw, but if you're gonna go for the kill and there's stuff to pop, we're gonna do it this way, just so I'm clear, because normally you would summon a different card out of the extra deck first. So normal summon out the Lila, and you're going to use its effect to summon out Kill. If they ogre you, who cares, because you're just the Kill summon out the Lila. These two cards are basically the same card. Just remember they have different continuous effects, I guess, and that's really it. So now we're going to, we're just going to link them off. Go into a simple Lila first. Like, if we're going for an OTK, go for Lila. Only do it when it's safe though, because you can obviously take the grind game route normally anyways, so that's just one of your options. Now with the Lila, you can activate and summon out back the Kill, which is pretty normal. And now we're going to link this one off to the link Evil Twin Kill. Alright, Kill on the field, and now you can use this one to revive this Lila. This will provide you with 1 pop. Alright guys, just 1. And now you take both of these and link them both off once again, and now you can go into a Fiend based monster because you already locked yourself into Fiends. Summon out an Unchained Abomination. Now the Fiend lock is only for your extra deck. Your main deck is still just fine. Activating Dear Servant now, and from here, if you're gonna go for the kill and you want to get the triple pop, then you throw it into the Graveyard and Entis. Alright, you throw Graveyard and Entis, search yourself a copy of your Ecclesia, and you just pop a card. Done. So that's another pop, and because you popped a card, Unchained Abomination will activate and also pop another card, and now you've popped 3 cards. And now you can special summon out the Ecclesia because you control an extra deck monster. Ecclesia's effect, we're going to search not Punishment, but we're going to go with Fleur de Lis, because we're trying to push for damage. And if you guys can do the math here, special summon out the Fleur de Lis because you still have this out. You can negate something if you want. This is 8,000 damage quite directly, because you attack with this is going to boost 3k, 2k, and finally 3k. This is exactly 8,000. 2 card OTK pumped through 3 cards. But that's a pretty sacky hand. Otherwise, you'll be able to always pop through 1. At the very least, you pop through 1 if you start off your hand with an Ecclesia plus a Lila, and it starts to decrease in terms of your potency depending on what you have left. This OTK only works with these monsters. In other words, it's Signet Mining plus a way to get to the Ecclesia. That's really it. So that's the first way to kill people. Let's do some regular opens now. Now for control boards, you want to open with a decent hand with at least 1 card access to your live twins, maybe 1 card access to your I guess Dogmatika. But the harder engine to open with would be your the Eldlich stuff, because that requires 2 cards to actually even be effective. So let's see what we get here. So we have 1 Ash, we have an Nadir Servant, which is really good, 1 Scarlet, we have a Nibiru, and we have a live twin. This is not my card here. This is actually a pretty decent opening. Although you don't have a full Elixir engine, you can still play with it and start benefiting off of the cards themselves. So, okay, this is actually a fun thing here. If you get hit by a hand trap, as long as it's not Gamma, you should be okay, and you have the ability to play Ash Nibiru the turn after, which is a fun disruption. Starting off with the Kiss a Kill, we're going to summon it, and we're going to activate the effect, and we're going to dig for our copy of Lilla. Special summon out the Lilla onto the field. Gamma is painful. Ghost Ogre is not. And since a lot of people play Ogre, they might just make that misplay. And since I just said it, they're probably never going to make that misplay ever again. Because if this gets popped and you summon this one, this effect will activate and it's just going to summon another one out of the deck and you just continue comboing. So they're not likely to do anything like that. If they leave a monster on board, then your Nadir Servant is still live. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a bit. So obviously, you can open even nuttier if you have like parallel exceeds and kind of extend from that. But for now, we're just gonna go with a card draw. Maybe we'll draw into like another piece of the Eldlich engine. So next we go into Kiss a Kill. Kiss a Kill's effect. We're gonna revive Lilla. This effect does not target, so you activate it. And if you have two Lillas in the grave or two different Lilla monsters, you can just summon whichever one out. So this one you summon out. Now we can link these two off. Now that you have a Lilla, you can obviously go into the Evil Twin Lilla. And with Evil Twin Lilla, you can activate that and special summon back out the Kiss a Kill. And with Kiss a Kill, we get to draw a card because we have both twins on the field. So let's draw a card. Now, I did search out the Lilla, so I'll just have to shuffle up. Top five? Top five it is. Here we go. Draw a card. Okay, we're on another Ash. That's not ideal, but we'll live with it. Before we play the Nadir Servant, make sure you get rid of these two and summon back a Lilla because Lilla is better control. Unless you're okay with just drawing a card during your opponent's turn. And besides, you can always draw a card during your opponent's turn. When I finish this combo, I'll show you guys what I mean. So now go back to Kiss a Kill so we can revive Lilla, and Lilla will be able to pop a card during your opponent's turn because this is a quick effect. So we got to make sure that we don't have both twins because if you are missing the twin, that's the only time you can summon out the other twin. Now we can activate Nadir Servant. And Nadir Servant, we're going to dump into the graveyard of the Titanic Lad. With Titanic Lad in the graveyard, we can just go ahead and get ourselves the Ecclesia, wherever you are, you beautiful card. There it is. Ecclesia the Virtuous. Activate the effect to summon herself out. So we're just going to like bam. So up until this point, you can play Live Twin Home or just normal summon. If you played it the other way, you can just normal this one out. So yeah, you can go ahead and special summon out the Ecclesia onto the field and activate her effect, and you can just grab yourself a Dogmatika punishment. Wow, so much control, so easy, much wow. So that's settled here, and don't forget you have some end phase effect to go off at the end, and just set your two cards and end phase. Titanic Clad, just add yourself. Where is your Fleur de Lis? So you finish with a Fleur de Lis in hand. So this is the kind of boards you're ending with typically. All right. If you have a handful of these, that means that's why you couldn't extend further. That's why you don't have all of your Eldlich stuff. But here's the thing: during your opponent's turn, you've got quite a few things to work with here. And during your opponent's turn, of course, you can activate Kiss a Kill to summon out your Lilla. And if they throw one of them, you can still summon the other. Summon out the Lilla. Pop a card. All right. If they don't do anything and they just set a bunch of cards past turn, during the main phase, just remember to activate her effect to summon out the Lilla and use Lilla's effect to pop the Kiss a Kill. And then use Lilla's effect to special summon back the Kiss a Kill and draw an additional card. That's how you keep maintaining card advantage. If your opponent does not push, you should be able to keep on grinding a free advantage over your opponent. And during your opponent's turn, since you did not use like punishment or anything like that, you start breaking the board simply by just going into like Nightmare Phoenix. Because if you go into Nightmare Phoenix, like something like this, you go into Phoenix. All right, you throw a card out. And then you chain this card on top. If they have, whether or not they have a response, you still chain this card. Special summon back the Kiss a Kill. So then you draw a card for the Phoenix and you draw a card for the Kiss a Kill, and you just start breaking boards while drawing a ton of cards, which is pretty insane. But let's go back for a second, back to where we were. With this particular board, like what do we actually have to kind of deal some damage here? Your first disruption is Omni Pop from the Lilla. It's one of your most free ones, and all it does is lock you into Fiend-based extra deck, which means your Scarlet Sanguine is not locked out. Your Dogmatika Punishment should be the last resort that you use because it's also one of the easiest ones to dodge. If they have a quick effect to remove the monster that you target, then you're kind of boned. You have a Fleur-de-Lis to negate a monster effect because you have the Kill still on the field. So you have one negation, you have one pop, you have 2 more pops here, and you have the Scarlet Sanguine engine. So this should be your last summon out of the deck. So if you activate this at the end, because if you use this first, of course you're locked into zombies only. You have to pay attention to these things, because if you don't, you start losing because you lock yourself out. And once you get to the Eldlich engine by your turn, once you get to basically here, it's just a constant grind for your opponent, because you can kill your opponent simply just even this. This is like so much damage on its own, and you still get to play with the graveyard if you so choose. So there's that going on for it, and then you have your Sanguine to start setting up Conquistador, just running the Eldlich engine on its own, which is why this one, it buys you enough time. But let's go into a little bit of a hand trapping session. All right, for hand trap session, this deck is prone to get hit by hand traps, whether it be Ash, Ogre, Gamma, those are some of the more popular, and Nibiru. There's not much you can really do about Nibiru except for Live Twin Home. If you get hit by Nibiru, this is your best bet to out it, because they are thinking that, oh, I've gotten rid of everything, my turn's going to be freed, not that much attack. You play a Live Twin Home on them, discard a card, summon out like a Kill, and you've already put your Lilla in the graveyard. By the time you put a Lilla in the graveyard, that's basically when they can actually hit you with Nibiru. Then you just link off the Nibiru token with your newfound Kill, and you sit on the new Kill while there basically would be a Lilla in the graveyard. So you still have a pop against your opponent, and you can pop away their Nibiru monster. So that's one way. So Nibiru is probably one of the more painful ones. So now we can go into like a different line of hand trapping. So say I do the normal summon shenanigan, all right? And then this gets hit by an Ash. My monster is still on the field, but what now? I don't really have much access with this card. Different ways that you can extend. Live Twin Home is one way. You can also use Parallel Exceeds to extend through this, or as long as you have your Dogmatika cards, you can extend through that. Or you can just build a decent board with a bunch of back row, and that's also fine too, as long as you have the Eldlich cards. But how you can extend through it is this, because this is a Cyburst monster after all, you can go into Lingaribo. Alright, Lingaribo. If you have Live Twin Home, don't go into Lingaribo. You can probably just make the regular board anyway. But in this particular case, Parallel Exceeds can trigger, and that's going to summon out Parallel Exceeds, and Parallel Exceeds is going to summon out another one from the deck, giving you an instant access to your Baguska, and then they basically can't imperm this because you can negate traps with Lingaribo. But if you want to continue playing, I highly recommend trying, instead of using Baguska, try to use Dweller, because Dweller benefits off of not giving your opponent any kind of trigger-based effects or any sort of activated effect in the graveyard thanks to Dweller, and you won't lock yourself from using your Ecclesia. So if this was Dweller, we're just going to flip it around now and say that that's Dweller. Special summon out the Ecclesia in defense mode and activate the effect to add, say, a punishment, and I have a punishment. So even against like matchup like Unchained or stuff that has a lot of grave synergy, I guess Unchained technically could be, well, not grave synergy, but typically activates in the graveyard. You can activate this, and anything that they play, you can just pop it and pop it again, and you don't have to worry about any sort of big problems coming up anytime soon. So that's just your benefit here of playing, well, I guess Lingaribo, I guess. Now, the other way that you can kind of gun through it, as I said before, is the Live Twin stuff. Live Twin, the interesting thing is that they do have a cost, so that if you have like matching cards of Eldliches, you can just throw one into the graveyard, and that will set up your engine a little bit faster, so you don't have to activate any of your cards. Paying costs with Eldlich cards always feels pretty nice. So that's kind of the ways that you can play through it. If they go into an Ogre, they Ogre your card, that's the stupidest thing they can do, because this is going to die, this is going to summon out, and then the other one from your deck is going to be like, oh, well, I don't have a monster on the field, so we're just going to special summon again, and Ogre just is useless. So I guess the only ones that are really threatening is Gamma, Nibiru, and Ash you can play around quite easily, which is why it's not exactly a big threat. Okay, now with the combo out of the way, let's go into the main deck. So the main deck, we play 2 copies of Lilla. We don't need the 3 copies now because you can just special summon them out and they just fetch each other out. Having too many cards of basically Lilla and Kiss to Kill will eventually lead to bricky hands or a very simple game state, which is very predictable, easy to break. You don't need to max out on this unless you're playing a pure Dogmatika build with this one without the Eldlich. So I keep saying pure, but that's the incorrect term. I'm sorry, guys. Triple Parallel Exceeds because this card's just really good with this deck. You just naturally link out immediately in the first play, and you can use it to take advantage of a easy rank 4. So that's basically it for the monsters in terms of the live twin stuff. Next we have Triple Ecclesia. This one just makes sense. And you know what, let's just put the last monster in here. We have Fleur-de-Lis as well as our negation. And also very important to actually play this card because it is one of your reasons why you have an OTK to begin with. And search out your whichever card you need. Sometimes you just have Nadir plus your live twin. That's an easy OTK for you to actually push through. If you have a different way to actually crush the board a little bit further, depending on if you're going first or second, you can actually break a board past the 1 monster mark or even past the 2 or 3 monster mark. And next we have the golden cards. We have 2 golden lords, and with these 2 golden lords, that's just suffice for your golden lord engine, the Eldlich side. Okay, on to hand traps. This is my current hand trap lineup. Of course, it may change. We have Triple Ash Blossom just because I don't like dealing with Drytron. Drytron Thurbin is probably the one card I would hit. Sometimes it's really hard to judge. I like to some degree because of Drytron. I want to play Drone Lockbird again just because they search that much, and with that much searching, the game 1 is going to be a bit iffy with Ash. You just have to hit the right target and hope for the best. Otherwise, you're gonna be a little bit locked out if they go Vanity's ruler, and that's another story on its own. Anyways, Triple Nibiru because we like to break boards, and it always forces something to negate it. But if they go into Herald first, this card feels like a bit iffy. But against like other matchups, of course, you just pair, you know, an Ash with a Nibiru, or you pair, like, you just basically pair with a Gamma. And speaking of Gamma, you just go Triple Gamma and a Driver. You kind of win the game here. And Gamma hurts other people playing live twins as well. Not that I'm not sure if anyone's actually going to be playing live twins, but if they do play live twins, Gamma is probably the one that hurts the most because you negate the summon and you destroy the monster, which is a pretty heavy hit. But the problem is, if they follow up against your Gamma, and then you just use like a live twin home, they just do the combo anyway, and then your Gamma really feels really stupid. But anyways, that's the monster lineup. Now for the spells, it's fairly simple. I only play 2 mining. I don't want to use mining as much as the other builds. Yes, it is a great search, but the thing is, for this build, I don't mind locking myself out of the extract, which is why I don't mind playing the home as much. And the home lets me extend through the Gammas. If they use Gamma or they use like Veiler, the home is going to be way more important than the mining because you can't normal summon out the second monster anyway, and getting rid of your own monster is actually quite difficult. So that's why I'm only playing 2 mining just to get the search out, and I only have 2 targets to really search. But then the home, on the other hand, lets me extend through. Ideally, you don't have a Parallel Exceeds with this card, but if you have Parallel Exceeds, you have Parallel Exceeds. You do the Parallel Exceeds plays instead, just because you can eat the hand trap and still play with the Parallel Exceeds. But this one lets you extend through like Gammas, lets you extend through basically anything that prevented you from summoning the second body out. And once you have the second body out, because you're only locked into the extra deck for Evil Twins, you can still play your Dogmatika stuff, you can still set all of your Eldlich stuff. This one does not hurt you, which is why I chose to go with this ratio. I've had too many minings before. I'm like, yeah, I'll just play with all my secret minings and it would feel really good. It did not feel very good. The homes came in much more clutch, and you might be wondering, why don't you play like secret passcode? I do have the secret passcode for a more like Dogmatika centric build, then it makes a little bit more sense. But there's like, all they do is search home, and I don't want to give them another point of access against Droll. My deck is already super weak against Droll. That's just a fact. I have so many search cards and everything needs to be searched out. And going into the next set of spells, of course, we have to play Triple Nadir's Servant. If you don't play this, you're crazy. This card plus one of your twins instant OTK against your opponent if they leave the board open, or they just leave it with one monster. You can rearrange it depending on how you want to play it. And finally, my last two spells, they're going to be, of course, Cursed Eldlings. Cursed Eldlings are just really good because you can use it. Just use it to get a free card, and then start using it to pay cost, and then you can set up your control boards. And for traps, we have two punishments. I don't need a third one because you have something that basically functions like a punishment, which would be Lila from the extra deck. That one is just free pop anyway, and it pops everything, and it doesn't lock you out. This should be more of a last resort. I'd rather use the Lila effect to actually get the pop off anyway. And this is to pop the additional 2 cards. Lila plus this card is 3 pops total, so that's a pretty significant amount. And you pair that with another Conquistador, that's 4 pops. It should kill your opponent, or at least stun them out, unless they are playing Unchained, which they will benefit off of all these pops. If that's the case, you gotta change it up a little bit, try to get more card draw out of your opponent, and just beat them through sheer advantage. Moving on from the Dogmatika cards, that's basically it. The rest of it is just all Eldlich cards. We play triple Scarlet Sanguine, because Scarlet Sanguine is basically the best Elixir card. Lets you summon it out. And you can throw it into the graveyard. And you have triple Conquistador, because you want to pop cards, and you can also throw it into the graveyard. And we have Hakeros, because Hakero. I think that's basically it for the entire deck. Total card size, or rather deck size right now, is about 43. Okay, starting off with the extra deck, we have triple copies of Kiss a Kill. I think this is the one that you need 3 of. You can technically cut 1 out. I would not recommend it in the case that you draw into, say, your Kiss a Kill, your live twin Kiss a Kill, and you can't go into it anymore. That means all the Lilas in your graveyard are dead, and you don't want to be in that situation. The great things about these cards is they can constantly just revive each other out of the graveyard. But if you don't have any left, you get yourself into an awkward position. That's why this is the 3 of, because if you want to get the card draw in the early game, only using a 1 card, then you're gonna have to burn through 2. That's why this one's the 3 of. And next we have double copies of Lila. I originally thought that you need 3/3. I do have a 3rd copy here. You don't really need the 3/3 right now. I have been fine with just 2, and leaving 1 in the graveyard is actually one of the best things possible, because you're just going to revive it, and then they'll just revive each other. In the main phase, remember, they are quick effects, so that the timing is a bit awkward. For a pro, it's pretty easy for them to counter the timing. They wait for you to activate, then chain. If someone's really trigger happy, then they'll try to do something to you. But then, because they're quick effects, you can use them to bait your opponent's cards. They target, you chain, and then you're the one benefiting off of the effect. This one lets you pop any card on the field, which is why it also works with Unchained very well. Set one of your cards, and then that person Unchained immediately builds a decent board that disrupts your opponent really, really well, to be honest. In fact, it's about 3 disruption with the Unchained stuff. But this one lets you get your card draw if you summon it out, which is also very nice, especially when you get to play with like basically a 6-card hand, and you have disruption. 6-card hand plus disruption, which is why I like this engine. And these cards are also very, very pretty. Next up, okay, now we're going to some of the weirder stuff. Of course, as shown before, Ling Karibo is there to eat a hand trap for you, but also negating a trap is one of the ideal things. You won't get evenly matched that easily with this card. Your opponent, well, if you have control over your opponent and they can't use, say, imperms and stuff like that, and by that means they probably won't imperm you most of the time because you have Ling Karibo and you have like quick effects. This is just nice to eat like evenly matches too, so there's that. And when you eat a hand trap, this is what you can go into with your live twins. We play 1 Phoenix and 1 Unicorn because they have the easy arrows. Unicorn probably will always get the draw effect because Kiss a Kill and Lila, they're always special summoning out of the graveyard. Getting these arrows in, super easy. And that's why it's like breaking a board like a Goki deck. And from there, we have one of the best Unchains available. We have Unchained Abomination because once you use your Kiss a Kill Lila, you're locked into Fiends. This is the Fiend boss, and this is also your OTK ability thanks to this card. You can just start going into your Dogmatika stuff, and that's just a free kill there. But if you somehow survive a turn, and remember, Live Twin Home is a quick play spell. If you survive the turn and you did not lock yourself through Dogmatika punishment, you can go ahead and just build an Axis Code Talker. It's just build a Code Talker if you can, and just kill your opponent. If you can push the same amount of damage, is absolutely just worth it. And the thing about Access Code Talker I didn't really showcase to you guys is that if you already set up your graveyard, all right, you already have set up your graveyard, you have your I guess your extra monster that are left behind, don't feel free to actually get rid of your Kisikil and Lilla. And as long as you're able to keep one extra body on board and you have another access to like Kisikil Lilla, you can just revive everything back in the graveyard, which is why you don't have to fear too much about going into Access Code Talker. As for, I guess, a couple of Xyz monster, we have Sky Cavalry Centuria. This card can be a different card, honestly, and you can use this to actually take out Dragoon sometimes, but I'm gonna be quite honest with you, it's hard to use this card. It's just weird situations. And then as for Baguska, this one is just your go-to when it comes to like getting your parallel Xyz. If you really want to go in that route, you know that your opponent only plays monsters, putting this in defense mode basically skips their entire turn. It's pretty brutal, but depending on how the meta shifts, you might actually switch this with an Abyss Dweller, just so that you don't have to deal with graveyard effects. And for Dogmatika cards, we have one, of course, Titanic Clad, and double Entis, because you want to pop cards. Now, if you guys enjoyed this deck profile, feel free to smash the thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit the subscribe, ding the notification bell. I'm going to be working on my Drytrons very soon. Really, really fascinated by that deck. And there's just so many different builds you can try out. So hopefully I can get that one out of the door very soon. But until then, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. And if you guys really want to further support this channel, check out the Patreon link down in the description. Every bit helps. It's been a pretty rough 2020. So yeah, whatever it is, anything helps the guys. I appreciate all of you guys for being such awesome people. And I'll see you guys next time.